Happened 2 days ago, they just announced. But we are now so far ahead of China in terms of the size of our economy that if somebody is smart that's at this position for times into the future, hopefully after 5 years, I won't joke by saying 9, 13, 50. It drives them crazy. For the governors, it drives them. Even when I joke, it drives them crazy. I won't say that. But if somebody smart is in this position, it'll never happen where China overtakes us. It'll never happen.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, what happens when the opposition political party uses its power in office to try to set up a duly elected president for a sabotage through impeachment and a sham hoax of an investigation? Well, we're going to find out because we're going to look at the failed coup. We're going to check out the latest new Q post, and yours truly being featured in the New York Times today with their latest hit piece against Q, and a whole bunch of other news stories you guys are going to want to stick around and check out. Hi, my name's Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know the drill. I say thank you if you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done it, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and then select all so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. We have a lot to cover here today, including the latest new Q posts and the fact that yours truly has made the New York Times in their latest hit piece against QAnon. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about things that the fake news won't talk about, so we're going to get right into that right now. The first post that we're going to look at is the one right after where we left off last time, and we left off at Q post 3849. We're picking up at Q post 3850, and of course the first thing that we get is this another movie poster saying hunters become the hunted in the invisible war for the future of our republic. The tables are now turned, and patriots are in control in honor of Donald J. Trump. Q Team Patriots, all anons, and every member of the Great Awakening engaged in the hunt. Where we go one, we go all. And then it says, enjoy the show. The hunt is on below the depths of the DC swamp. So this is just, indicative of what's happening now. And the mainstream media is freaked out today. I've seen at least a dozen, it seems, at least hit pieces on QAnon today. Not only that, you've had reports on the mainstream fake news channels where they come out and start talking about QAnon. Like I told you, we're going to talk about the New York Times use a picture of me as their cover photo for the hit piece they just wrote about QAnon and their hate, their incorrect interpretation of the facts surrounding QAnon. And in some cases, it seems like they're willfully omitting the facts and skewing the facts. But are we really surprised that the fake news organizations create fake news? No, not really. And yeah, we're going to show that. That was an interesting way to wake up this morning and drink my coffee and go, oh, there I am on the New York Times. But it's where we go one, we go all, and we're here in it for the long run, and we're going to keep exposing these criminals, the corrupt criminals, and we're going to obviously, the more we get over the target, the more flack we're going to take. So let's start right here, Q post 3850, and it starts with this Twitter post that Q wants us to look at from Kyle Griffin, which talks about the Attorney General Barr has acknowledged for the first time that Rudy Giuliani has been giving the Justice Department information he collected in Ukraine, especially bringing what was a stealth campaign into official government channels. Wow. I mean, is anybody surprised? President Trump and Rudy Giuliani have been basically telling us nonstop for I don't know how long, however many months, years almost it seems, that they're investigating Hunter Biden, Ukraine. They're investigating all the corruption outside of the Justice Department independently, and they're presenting their findings to the authorities. Well, guess what? Now we're getting confirmation that Attorney General Barr is saying, look, we are accepting that information. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to take it and not vet it and just take it at its face value. They're going to take the information and go investigate. What a novel thing for the actual the Justice Department to do, is to have an investigation based off of evidence that's presented to them. It's what a novel thing to do, right? They're only supposed to investigate when it's fake, unverified information like the Steele dossier, and it's been given to them by the DNC through, basically their representation at Fusion GPS. That's the only way they should be able to investigate, according to the fake news media. But the Bloomberg article attached says Giuliani giving Ukraine data to Justice Department, and this is just, again, going over that, saying the DOJ here in a quote from Barr said the DOJ has the obligation to have an open door to anybody who wishes to provide us information that they think is relevant. Barr told reporters during a news conference in Washington, we have to be very careful with respect to any information coming from Ukraine. There are a lot of agendas in the Ukraine. There are a lot of cross currents, and we can't take anything we receive from the Ukraine at face value. So they're going to be investigating this information, and obviously they have to verify the information that's given to them. Unlike what former administration officials did and former Department of Justice and FBI officials did when they decided to take unverified information, lie to the FISA court, and use it to set up the President of the United States for the coup attempt that was put forth. But, you know, not going to hear about that from the New York Times, will you? They'll cover it and say, you know, everything was fine and President Trump deserved it, basically. Q goes on to say, did Mueller open the door to Ukraine? Did Mueller open the door to FISA? Illegal. How do you introduce evidence legally? Did impeachment provide a platform to discuss findings of Ukraine? How do you introduce evidence legally? Did impeachment harm or help POTUS public? How do you introduce Democrat high crimes corruption to the public? Why didn't POTUS remove Hussein holdovers from the National Security Council? Do you really believe that POTUS and team trusted Hussein holdovers to remain within the administration and work to enact POTUS's agenda without bias or confrontation? How do you awaken the induced coma public fake news control from their long sleep? Sometimes allowing your enemies to openly attack, logical thinking Q. So it was a trap. It was all a setup from day one. And it seems obvious now looking back, but here we are. And that's why the fake news is panicking, because President Trump just cleaned house at the National Security Council, removing 70 individuals, not just Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. He removed everyone. And we let them stay just long enough for them to show their hand. So we could basically set them up, and not even in a form of entrapment, saying we gave them an opportunity to serve their country and uphold their oaths to office. And it seems as though they failed in that obligation. So President Trump has removed them. And in doing so, it has helped strengthen our position, right? President Trump's position, as the public now sees that this was all a big hoax. They see that he was acquitted. They see the Democrats are petty and just trying to project their own criminal actions onto President Trump so that they can obfuscate and try to sabotage the investigation into their side's corruption. And it seems obvious now that this was all part of a plan, maybe. I don't know. Is there like a plan that we've been talking about here for a while now? Something about trusting a plan and things are going to happen. Big things are coming. These are the big things. They're happening right now. You have Lindsey Graham wanting to call basically all of the people involved in the coup against President Trump to explain why they lied to the FISA court, why they lied as investigators investigating the president, why they used unverified information to try to get this to go after people surrounding President Trump so they could spy on his campaign seemingly. Yeah, we're going to uncover all of that. But, you know, fake news aren't going to tell you about that. So that kind of is what Q is insinuating here. You guys can pretty much understand most of this for yourself. The impeachment articles did provide a platform to discuss the findings of Ukraine. That's how we've introduced evidence legally. Q said this before. How do you inject legally? How do you get things on the record legally? How do you get the people to pay attention and do it so that they understand and wake up from the coma that they've been lulled into by the fake news that has been controlling them by lying to them for so long? And helping and be complicit in the cover-up of these major corruption scams, right? It's all been a broad effort, I think, to keep people asleep and away from this. And now, as we get closer and closer to the truth, that's when they attack us. That's when we are over the target. Obviously, they come at us harder. The next thing here is this Washington Examiner article talking about bigger than Vindman. Trump scrubs 70 Obama holdovers from the NSC, right? And here it says President Trump's making good on his promises to drain the swamp and cut Obama-era holdovers from his staffs, especially the critical and recently controversial National Security Council. Officials confirmed that Trump and National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien have cut 70 positions inherited from former President Barack Obama, who had fattened the staff to 200. Many were loners from other agencies and have been sent back. Others left government work. The NSC, which is the president's personal staff, was rocked when a whistleblower leveled charges that led to Trump's impeachment. So this is what happened with the Eric CIA, who decided to have the story of the century basically going out and blowing the whistle, as he says it, they put it in quotes, thankfully, there, against President Trump in what turned out to be another attempt, a second attempt at taking down duly elected president, which actually resulted in Congress, the House of Representatives, exposing themselves for everyone who voted to send those articles of impeachment to the Senate with the acquittal of President Trump in the Senate and the obvious lack of evidence and the lack of the fact that there was no case against President Trump. It was just these ambiguous terms that really meant nothing and had no actual crimes attached to them other than this ambiguity about how President Trump made an offer that the Ukrainian president couldn't refuse to investigate his political adversary. And it's like, what's worse, asking the prime minister or president of a country to do their job, right, and investigate corruption, or to, I don't know, say you're the vice president and you threaten to withhold U.S. aid unless they fire the prosecutor who's investigating your son's company, which he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars at as a top board director with no real experience in that field ever before. I wonder which one's worse, right? But yeah, this is what's happening, and this is the story. I'll leave links to all this if you want to read these articles as well. Obviously, Q says, we got what we needed. There is no step 5. Thank you for playing, Q. Well, Q, when he says there is no step 5, Q laid out the 4 steps for us, right? And how this was going to work. And this is the post we got back in February of 2019, where Q was responding to this post from Adam Schiff, where he said, step 1, hype an invented threat of an invasion of terrorists, murderers, and rapists. Step 2, send troops to the border to address the imaginary threat. And this is him saying, Step 3, justify the wall as necessary to protect troops sent to meet the non-existent threat. Step 4, executive time. Well, Q responded to that saying, let's actually use facts. Step 1, hype an invented threat of POTUS working with the Russians, disinformation campaign. Step 2, send FBI, DOJ, Congress, Senate, CIA, NSA, Intel, Five Eyes, etc. to address and investigate the imaginary threat. Step 3, justify the special counsel and millions of taxpayer dollars spent as necessary to protect the public and our election process against an imaginary, made-up, non-existent threat, which really is designed to protect the illegal activities of many elected officials. Step 4, open new, fake, and false investigations as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee to retain disinformation campaign designed to keep liberal Democrat Americans on board to regain power and prevent prosecution. Executive time, Q. So what Q did is explain that that's what they're doing. But remember, what Q's telling us now is there is no step 5. They never planned past that. And now we've thwarted it. So this is when they're going to get desperate. This is when they're going to start censoring and trying to attack us and smear people who are, involved in just reporting on this information. And that's fine because, in my opinion, I put everything to God. We have nothing to lose in this battle because we're battling for country and we're putting God first, and we're fighting for our families' futures, and we're doing it from a place of trying to have the law have an actual, single tier to it, and not the 2-tier justice system that was created by previous administrations and individuals who thought they were above the law, who weren't, beholden to the things that normal citizens are beholden to, which is the Constitution and its legal parameters, which are outlined. So this is very interesting to me, and this is what Q is saying. There is no step 5. They don't know what to do. They're pretty much, in my opinion, they're not going to be doing too well. Now, this was an older Q post, right, from, November of 2019, where it says, what advantages might exist when you know the other side's playbook? And it gave us the Merriam-Webster dictionary's definition for the word trap. Enjoy the show. And then an anon says, caught them all. And this is the anon pointing back to this older Q post, and Q's just pointing to this post. So this is why they're freaking out. I'm telling you, that they're panicking because they know patriots are now in control. And I can verify that there are certainly, active operations, I'm sure. I mean, I can't really verify, but I could say I would assume at this point, given the information that I've heard and what I've seen, that there are operations, investigations, and all types of things that are in the works and have been in the works. Some of them are coming to, their completion now, and some are starting. But it is always going to be President Trump trying to do what's right for this country, expose the corruption, and clean house, drain the swamp. That's what it is. That's what we're seeing. Now, the next one here is interesting. And mind you, before we even go a little further, I want to remind everyone out there, legally and lawfully drain the swamp, because what really happened here is we've been cast by the mainstream media as these evil people who are promoting violence and who are just deranged lunatics, when in reality, they're terrified that we're demanding justice, and we're doing it in a way that, like I've said before here on this channel, I've never advocated for anything extrajudicial as far as violence or anything goes. I only advocate for legally and lawfully holding these people to account. And yes, there are certain laws that you can break that have severe penalties. And if they want to call us deranged for calling on people who've committed crimes like treason to face the consequences of that, then that is something that is on them. So ultimately, moving to the next post, Q gives us this older post of Q, right, saying April 2018, saying where we go when we go all, drops will go fast, White House clean signal, marker, everything is planned, years, message, unity, awakening, we fight, Lexington, Concord, stay together, Q. And then it said, follow Bolton, clean, stage, learned how to archive offline, the streets will not be safe for them, Q. And of course, that is something that we got back in April of 2018. Now today, Q says, what happened following Bolton's departure from the White House? White House clean? What happened following impeachment? Nadler, Pelosi, Schiff cannot walk down the street? Imagine that. Q. Well, there you go. Q said it better than I could have. And it's just another future proving past type scenario. So, you guys do with that as you will. And now the next final post here is a repost. I think we've had this picture before here on the boards where it says the greatest military intelligence operation of our time, and it's got a big Q and a bunch of kids looking at it in, I guess what you would say is like a museum. So Q says back channels are important. Attacks will only intensify. You attack those who threaten you the most. Enjoy the show, Q. And that's where we're at right now. You can't even, I've seen a bunch of, like I said, media interviews today where they're trying to go after QAnon. I've seen a bunch of written articles going after QAnon. I myself was featured in one of these articles. That is not making that up. Here we are. Here it is. New York Times hit piece today. What happens when QAnon seeps from the web to the offline world? And then there's a picture of me in DC giving a speech at the Great Awakening event. It was on 9/11. It was a great event. They've had that picture for a while. I knew that the New York Times was there that day. I never really talked to them. I guess they got that picture and decided to use it today for some reason, putting basically associating me with this crazy story that really doesn't make much sense and paints Q people as deranged and takes a few very, takes these outliers as examples of how everyone in the movement is. So, I don't know. I read through the story. The weird part is too, they use my picture on the front, yet they don't say my name or this channel's name at all in the whole story. And from what I read, I skimmed through most of it and read most of it, that it's just a bunch of all of the gaslighting attacks that they've been using since day one put together in a single article, which culminates, mind you, here I am on the front pictured, right, giving a speech in front of the White House next to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., right? It was a great time. It was a hot day, but we got through it. And you scroll down to the end, and it ends with the association of this crazy psycho guy who went and killed allegedly or supposedly some Gambino mob boss, and was saying he did it for Q. So they're trying to paint us all in this picture where we're all just these crazy deranged people who are going to be violent. And then they go with that Yahoo FBI story about the FBI coming out and labeling us a threat, terror threat, or whatever that means. It really is a complete misrepresentation of the intelligence bulletin that supposedly was put out there. I just read on Twitter, Praying Medic was saying that he got the FBI to comment, and they basically said that they can't talk about the intelligence bulletin, and then he said they pointed him to the terror level index, and that there's no mention of QAnon. So they just want to use their own fake news lies, just like they did before. Mind you, Where did the whole Trump Steele dossier thing start? It started from Yahoo News, which was the same one that wrote the hit piece citing the intelligence bulletin about QAnon being a terror threat. These people create fake news and then use it to slander the movement as a whole, to gaslight us all, and then they take your picture and they put it in front of millions of people and basically say that you're associated with a bunch of psychopaths. When the reality is they're terrified of us exposing their corruption, complicity, and negligence to a large degree, because if they're not corrupt or complicit, then they're just negligent in doing their job, and they're failing at doing their job. And that shows weakness, and that's why they come after those who are winning, who are succeeding. So that's where we're at here today, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I tweeted it out, so that is in fact me. So I thought that was interesting, and that's another place we're going to take it here. Here's another story I wanted to talk about. So Amazon wants to depose President Trump because he basically screwed Amazon in giving a deal to Microsoft Corporation. Now, this is going down a slippery slope where these mega corporations, they actually believe they're more powerful than the government itself. They actually believe in their warped heads that they are somehow entitled to the Pentagon deal because of nothing other than they're the biggest, right? And it seems as though President Trump made a deal to, go with Microsoft. It is the choice of the executive in how they structure these deals, and it just shows how crazy and how deranged these people, like the people who run these major corporations, how deluded they are to think that they're stronger, bigger than the United States government, and that they can basically force a president of the United States to be deposed, and the defense secretary, mind you, for making their choice in what was the strategic choice for our country to go with Microsoft and award them a large contract for cloud computing as opposed to Amazon. That's the level of absurdity this world is getting at. Here's another interesting one. I saw this now. I haven't been able to find a copy of the book to open it up and read it, see if this is true, but it is seemingly verified by older articles that, were existing way before the Wuhan stuff happened. I guess this guy, Dean Koontz, wrote a book back in 1981 called The Eyes of Darkness. And you got to read this one part of it, though. It said it was around then that a Chinese scientist named Li Chen defected to the United States carrying a diskette record of China's most important and dangerous new biological weapon in a decade. They called the stuff Wuhan 400 because it was developed at their rDNA labs outside of the city of Wuhan, and it was the 400th very viable strain of man-made microorganisms created at that research center. Wuhan 400 is a perfect weapon. It afflicts only human beings. No other living creature can carry it. And like syphilis, Wuhan 400 can't survive outside a living human body for longer than a minute, which means it can't permanently contaminate objects or entire places the way anthrax and other virulent microorganisms can. And when the host expires, the Wuhan 400 within him perishes a short while later, as soon as the temperature of the corpse drops below 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you see the advantages to all of this? And it just goes on. It's crazy. So I don't know, but I read this and I just thought, wow, that's interesting that 1981 they were kind of predicting it. But I guess if you knew that the Wuhan had the rDNA lab, which they do, then you could have easily written a story about it. But that's just something interesting. Not to mention here, this just came out. The Justice Department is suing the state of New Jersey governor, and New Jersey Attorney General for prohibiting state officials from sharing information with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Well, it's about time, right? This is just one example of the many ways that we have to fix our broken system and allow, governments to work with ICE to help, get illegal immigrants out of the country. I mean, if you broke the law and came here illegally and you were from, let's say, Russia, or you're from China or Ukraine, everybody would be like, yeah, you need to leave, right? But because you come from Mexico or South America, it's like different somehow, like the law doesn't apply to you. And, they talk about, the people who claim, that they're, political refugees, etc. Yeah, there are exceptions, and there are, and that's built into the law itself. But at the end of the day, you can't corrupt the intent of the law by stating that everybody is a refugee. Everybody's fleeing political violence. Everybody's needs to have safe accommodations and health care. I mean, at what point will we just be taking care of the entire world, giving away all of our resources to everyone and anyone who comes. And that's, I think, the point of this suit, but I'll leave it to you guys to decide for yourself what you think about it all. And that's pretty much going to be it. One more thing before we go, I want to show some clips from today's news conference with President Trump, where he was with, it wasn't a news conference actually, it was a conference with the governors of the states. And he had some very interesting things to say. So we'll watch that and then we'll wrap it up.
But the only way, until we have that agreement, the only thing I can do is create by far the strongest nuclear force anywhere in the world, which, as you know, over the last 3 years, we've very much upgraded our nuclear, but we're buying new. We have the super fast missiles, tremendous number of the super fast. We call them super fast, where they're 4, 5, 6, and even 7 times faster than an ordinary missile. We need that because, again, Russia has some. I won't tell you how they got it. They got it supposedly from plans from the Obama administration when we weren't doing it, and that's too bad. That's not good, but that's how it happened. And China, as you know, is doing it. So we have a tremendous $740 billion for military. But again, it's also jobs in the United States. So it's, you know, it's everything's made in the United States proudly. And we have the best in the world. We have the best equipment in the world, the best missiles, planes, rockets. Everybody wants our equipment. We have to be very selective, obviously, but we're going to have a very good budget with a very powerful military budget because we have no choice.
So there you saw President Trump. You know, he's going to continue to call this out, and I think it's important that we continue to listen to what is actually being said, because there is a lot more to all of the events that have been taking place than I think most of us even realize. And what you just saw there was President Trump saying that the Chinese stole weapons technology from the Obama administration. Now, was it stolen through bribery and through a secret email server and special access program information that had been put onto the private server of maybe, I don't know, possibly the former Secretary of State? I don't know. Is President Trump confirming that? I'm not sure. But I can tell you right now, he is confirming that they stole that technology and that we are in another nuclear arms race with these people because of the position of weakness that we were put into by previous administrations. And that's pretty much where we're going to wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, watch these videos, share them on my social media. You know, it's funny, as soon as Q start posting, my videos get restricted. It seems they lose reach very quickly. 50,000, maybe one was 70,000, whereas before it was about 100,000. And it fluctuates, but it's really frustrating because, you know, they have a content suppression algorithm and they're trying to keep this information from you because they want to promote the fake news media, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC, and NBC, you name it, all the fake news outlets, Vox, BuzzFeed, the rest. They want to push that, force feed that to you because it's the controlled narrative that is approved by the corporate masters who want to enslave you. And I present an alternative in just thought and in looking in different areas where they won't look and asking questions that they won't ask. But I appreciate all your support. You know, they come after us. They're going to continue to come after us, it seems, the bigger that our voice gets. So we have to be just prepared to continue to put our faith in God above all else and stay strong. And you guys support by sharing these videos. If you don't know what QAnon is, watch this video right here and share it. If you want to help out the channel, also leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of it. This video is also brought to you in part by RedPillLiving.com/JustInformed. You can use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED to get 10% off your order. Use the link in the description. Check out their great products. They have the liposomal vitamins, which are great to take. They have Carbon 60, which is a great product you should do some research on if you're not familiar with it. And their new line of premium coffee called The Great Awakening is great. It supports Patriots. It helps support this channel. If you use the link in the description, use the coupon code to get your coffee here. They even have the K-Cups, and they have every kind of blend you could imagine. So go check that out. That's obviously RedPillLiving.com/JustInformed. Also, be brave. Download the Brave browser. If you guys haven't done it yet, it's free. Use the link in the description. Download it, install it, and run it on your computer. It's a better internet browser, and you're going to love it. I guarantee it. And when you do all those things using the link in the description, they actually make a contribution to this channel. So thank you so much. It's a win-win, and I hope you guys really like that product. Also, there's Just Inform You on Twitter. You can come connect with me over here. Like I said, we passed 50,000 followers. Thank you so much to everyone who's following over here. And we keep growing, and that's why they're terrified of what's it's you guys. It's not me. It's all of you out there. And then there's JustInformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Also, there's BitChute.com/JustInformedTalk, the official backup channel for this channel in case you never know. And also, you can contribute via Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. You guys have helped keep this channel alive and going in the face of all the demonetization, all the backhanded secret tactics, algorithmic suppressions that have been used and deployed against this channel to try to put it out of business. You guys have prevented that from happening, and your support is really big time, and it helps out more than you guys will ever know. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description. Now, before we go, I do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And for today's episode, I want to share something that really spoke to me. I was reading the book of James. I've been, in the book of James for a bit now. And when this happened today, I was kind of nervous when I saw my picture on, New York Times, big hit piece about QAnon, and they don't even mention my name. They just kind of put me together with all these outlandish things that they write. But then I thought of this. It's out of the book of James, chapter 1, verse 2 through 17. And it says, "Consider it a great joy, my brothers, whenever you experience various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, but endurance must do its complete work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. Now, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously and without criticizing, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith without doubting. For the doubter is like the surging sea, driven and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. An indecisive man is unstable in all his ways. The brother of humble circumstances should boast in his exaltation, but the one who is rich should boast in his humiliation, because he will pass away like a flower of the field. For the sun rises with its scorching heat and dries up the grass. Its flower falls off, and its beautiful appearance is destroyed. In the same way, the rich man will wither away while pursuing his activities. Blessed is a man who endures trials, because when he passes the test, he will receive the crown of life that he has promised to those who love him. No one undergoing a trial should say, 'I am being tempted by God,' for God is not tempted by evil, and he himself doesn't tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when he is drawn away and enticed by his own evil desires. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and when sin is fully grown, it gives birth to death. Don't be deceived, my dearly loved brothers. Every generous act and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. With him there is no variation or shadow cast by turning." And I share those words with you because we should be grateful when we face many trials, and we should look at it as an opportunity to test our faith in God. They're going to attack us, and there's going to come times where you're going to, each of us are going to face these incredible, obstacles, and we're going to have to use our faith in God as a incredible power that exists within each and every one of us, right? God is in us. God is with us. God can strengthen us to overcome all. And that's the message there, I think. And I want to share it with you because when I was reading it, it just spoke to easing my concern, easing my heart, and reminding me of why I shouldn't be afraid. That when I let that doubt in, that makes me unstable. And that when I understand that evil is all around us and it just needs a little opening to get in, that you have to have the faith in God above all else to remember that every generous act and every perfect gift is from above. So that's my message to you guys. Use that in your lives and to strengthen yourselves, and remember that God is alive, God is in you, and God is with you, and Jesus died on the cross for your sins. The Holy Spirit lives in you, and we are able to overcome all evils and all the obstacles and hurdles that are put in front of us with God, through God, for God. So that's my message. Use that, take it to your family, friends, loved ones, and share it. And that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember, come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, punch it, tap it, headbutt it, whatever. Hit the like button. If you guys like this content and want to see me make more, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.